Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our West Palm Beach COVID-19 virtual town hall on economic support and recovery. My name is Commissioner Kelly Shoaf. I represent District 1 in the north end of the city, and I currently serve as the president of the commission. I've been tasked as the group leader for Economic Support and Recovery Group. So our group is part of the COVID-19 response unit in West Palm Beach. And working with me on this group are some really great team members. We have Kelly Smallridge, the CEO of the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County, Dennis Grady, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches, Rafael Clemente, Executive Director of the West Palm Beach Downtown Development Authority, Bruce Lewis, the CEO of LB Limited Associates and member of the Black Chamber of Commerce, Chris Rug, Director of Economic Development in the City of West Palm Beach, Frank Hayden, Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity in the City of West Palm Beach, and working really closely with our city's Community Redevelopment Agency and the Interim Executive Director, Allison Justice. So our team has been working to identify opportunities to assist our small businesses. We've been looking at best practices from across the country and working towards long-term solutions once our city moves past this immediate crisis. We've been ultra focused on working with our business owners, our merchants, our industry leaders to really support them during this pandemic. West Palm Beach has really led the way in our county and our state and assistance programs for the business community. So I want to commend our mayor, our administration, and my fellow commissioners and staff for their leadership and support on this. So today we're going to talk about these programs and how businesses can participate and residents can support our local businesses. This is the 6th and the final town hall on COVID-19 for this week. If you missed any of those town halls that occurred earlier this week, please make sure that you visit the City of West Palm Beach COVID-19 website at WPB.org/COVID-19 or tune into the city's Facebook page. So we have a great introduction of panelists for you today. Lots of things to talk about. So for this afternoon's town hall, I'm joined by several great presenters to talk about the economic support and recovery in West Palm Beach. So we're going to hear updates on the West Palm Beach Business and Recovery Assistance Program, the West Palm Beach Shops and West Palm Beach Eats program, information for your businesses located in the city's CRA districts and downtown development district, as well as the phase 1 reopening plans for our restaurants, including a new great program just developed and it's currently being implemented called Dining on the Spot. So I just want to give everybody a little bit of information about how our town hall will run today. We want to hear from the public about any questions you have, so we'll take some Q&A at the end of this meeting and get some of those questions answered. There are 3 ways you can submit your own questions during the meeting. You can send an email to townhall@wpb.org. In the Facebook live stream, you can put your questions in the comment section, or if you're tuning in on the Zoom meeting, you can type your question in the Q&A box and click send. So we'll be monitoring this throughout the town hall. And please send away with any questions that you have. So we'll go ahead and get started here. First up, we have Chris Rug, who's the Director of Economic Development for the City of West Palm Beach. Thanks so much, Chris, for joining us. We're excited for you to provide an update to our viewers on our programs for the West Palm Beach Recovery Assistance Program, the West Palm Beach Shops and Eats program, and the future planning and reopening for the City of West Palm Beach. So thank you so much, Chris, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Commissioner. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you all are able to see my screen. We're going to go over several things this afternoon and try to be a little bit brief because we do want to leave a lot of questions for you. So I am going to touch on 3 main programs that the city is offering currently that can help you and your business during these difficult times. But I do just want to make one mention that we know that this is an extremely stressful time for you. So we're here to help and try to help you out in any way that we can. So we're open to ideas and ways, and we're essentially trying to provide you the resources and tools that you need to really weather this storm in a way that can come out of it even stronger than you did when it first started. So first off, I do want to just touch base that there's a tremendous amount of information that's out there relative to the COVID-19 response, but I'm just going to touch upon the city's program today. And it is called the Recovery and Assistance Program, and the city is still currently taking applications for this loan program. These are loans between $5,000 and $10,000 in amounts. And we have developed a partnership with the Urban League of Palm Beach County and Valley National Bank to help us with this. The application is online. You can see it here, that if you go to the city's website, the eligibility criteria is laid out as the first step, and I'll touch on that a little bit more here in a second. Then we are requiring some minimum documentation for the loan, and then lastly, once you have all of that stuff together, you determine that you're eligible. The application is down at the bottom. You can click on that link. It'll send you to the portal where you can then apply. But let's go back to that eligibility criteria first. And it's really important that regardless of whatever program that you are applying for, if you haven't already, to really have a good understanding about your business, the information relative to your business, whether it's the legal name, just your articles of incorporation, general things that any loan program or resource program is going to need from you. So have all of that stuff ready and make sure that you have it, you get it together, because we have found that being prepared with all of the amount of people applying for these programs, that those are the most prepared tend to have the most success with those programs. Going back to ours, the eligibility requirements, first and foremost, we are seeing applications denied for primarily two reasons. One is that we have folks applying for resources outside of the city boundaries. And so it's really important to know where your business is located, and there's a link on our map where you can identify if you are within the city boundaries of the city of West Palm Beach. And second is really the credit issue. And unfortunately, we are seeing some applications. So have that aren't meeting that credit eligibility requirement. So definitely make sure that you try to get as much information and understanding about those eligibility requirements before you do all the hard work. And even if you don't have those eligibility requirements per se, there are other resources out there. So don't fret if for some reason you don't meet those requirements. Second, the city has done at the very least a couple of promotional efforts to help businesses, those sort of on the front lines of the pandemic. Now, I will tell you that right out of the gates, when the restaurants and the hospitality business was clearly being impacted first and foremost, we started a promotion program called West Palm Beach Eats. And this is just simply a landing page where we identify all of those businesses that are open for takeout and pickup, where you can order online and things like that, where people can support local restaurants from the comfort of their own home and come and get your product and enjoy and support small businesses. And then shortly after that, we also launched West Palm Beach Shops, which is a similar thing for retailers, regardless of the product that you're selling. Again, online orders through the phones, things like that, where people can stop by, either do a quick curbside pickup of your product or have it delivered to their home. And this is a very easy program for you to participate. If you are within the city of West Palm Beach boundaries, you simply need to send a email with your business information to ecodev@wpb.org. And at the city's website, all of the information on how to, that web address is located, so you don't have to write it down, but it is on the city's webpage on how to participate. And if you send basic information about your businesses, it goes directly to myself, and we make sure that it's uploaded to this landing page. And these two programs are supported through web-based and social media ads that run in the zip codes for the city and the surrounding zip codes around the city. So we're really trying to promote the local support of our local restaurants and retailers through these two programs. And those are very easy things that you can apply, and if nothing else, you can take away today that you can participate in those programs. The last thing that I do want to mention is that relative to this, the loan program that the city has started, and then also just general replanning now that we're facing a new business climate, the city has developed a partnership with the Small Business Development Center down at Florida Atlantic University, where they have consultants on hand specifically for those businesses in West Palm Beach, where they will help you with your business planning, your business questions, knowing how to plan out, how to manage all of the loans or programs that you've participated in. And this is a great resource because with all of the unknowns, it's good to sort of bounce it off other professionals that can provide you some expertise and consulting for free for your business. Again, that information is also listed on the city's webpage, so I encourage you to check that out. We'll conclude those links later on in the presentation. So with that, I'm going to turn it now over to Allison Justice, who is with the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, who talk about the program specifically designed for those areas of the city. Allison?
Thank you, Chris, and good afternoon, everyone. Chris, we have a slide up that shows the city's WPB.org/CRA. This is the page on the city's website that will tell you about the CRA's Emergency Small Business Relief Program. If you own a small business within one of our community redevelopment areas, which there are 2 areas you can see on the website, you can go to see a map to see if your business is located within a CRA area. You can apply for the small business relief. This is a grant for up to $2,500. It is for, some of the requirements include you have to have applied for the city's loan program. So that takes care of all of, really all the paperwork and the business information. If you apply for the city's program, it qualifies you, as well as applying for another recovery and assistance program. It could be a paycheck protection, it could be a small business loan, it could be something through your local bank. We will fund, again, up to $2,500 for rent, payroll, and utilities in this. And even though the first phase has been expended, the first phase of funding has been expended, we are going to go back and ask for some additional funding. So there still is time to apply for this program if you would like. We also, if you have a small business and have issues with technology, if you don't have access to a computer, if you're having trouble filling out some of these forms and getting the right documentation, the CRA does have a partner that we are working with that are helping small businesses complete these applications. So you can email the CRA at cra@wpb.org, and we can help you get through that process, the application process as well. With that, I don't know, Commissioner Shoaf, do you want to introduce Rafael Clemente?
Sure. Thank you so much, Allison and Chris, for that information. And we'll look forward to our next presenter, Rafael Clemente, the Executive Director of the West Palm Beach Downtown Development Authority, coming to you today from parts unknown. Thanks, Rafael, for being here. If you can jump in and provide an update on your legal assistance program and the DDA's Back to Work question webinars, as well as your coffee break series for our viewers today.
Thanks. Well played, Commissioner Shoaf. Hi, and welcome everyone to the webinar. We're happy I can speak on behalf of myself and the board and staff of the DDA. We are really pleased to be able to play a role in the city's programs and the broader effort to support our business community here in the city as a whole, not just in the downtown district. As soon as this all started, you know, we were right there along with Chris and Allison and Commissioner Shoaf as an organization that serves the downtown and scrambling to find ways that we could really become a resource for our community. A lot of that involved looking at our programs and determining what was going to be needed going forward and what wasn't, and then reallocating those resources for things that we didn't see as being necessary through this pandemic and in the time after it. So we did a lot of reallocation of resources, both human resources and financial resources. And a big portion of that was contributing funding to the loan program that the city is running. Our funds, the $150,000 the DDA contributed, were specifically allocated for businesses downtown, but nonetheless, it allowed a larger share to be spread citywide. And we were proud to be able to do that and to see the benefit of that happening. I'm not going to go through every single detail of each one of these bullet points, but just it's a good summary to say that we are in regular communication with businesses in the downtown district and in a two-way manner. The best information we're getting to be able to tailor our programs and our assistance efforts is obviously coming from the stakeholder group. What are the needs? What are the conditions you're facing? When do you plan to reopen? And being sure that we're ready to play that support role. In terms of technical assistance, we did one webinar with Gunster Law Firm. They were very generous in providing their time to create a webinar around the Paycheck Protection Program and provide businesses and even individual, people who are working from home and small businesses with all of the most current information about the Paycheck Protection Program and how they could potentially qualify and maximize the benefit from that program. Coming up soon on May 20th at 3:30 p.m., Gunster has agreed to do a second webinar that will be on the return to work and all of the questions, the legalities surrounding return to work. What are employees' rights? What are employers' rights? And some of the things that we need to be aware of as we start to phase back in. In both cases, with the Paycheck Protection Program and with the Return to Work Legal Assistance Program, we are endeavoring to provide not just the information on the webinar, but actual legal guidance from Gunster for businesses within our district for up to 3 hours of legal guidance on these particular topics at no cost to the business. Again, I want to reiterate that is for businesses within the downtown area, within our district boundary, and we can clarify that, maybe offline or whatever if you're in our district or not. But that will, and anyone can tune in. I want to remind you to that webinar. You're free to tune in and listen and learn and ask questions of this highly qualified team. And again, that's Wednesday, May 20th at 3:30 p.m. You can find the information about that. If it's not there, it will be shortly on our website, downtownwpb.com, or on our social media channels, all at downtownwpb.com, whether it's Facebook or Twitter. In terms of reopening planning, this has been, I think, the main area of focus for us over the past couple of weeks, and providing a support system. I'm sure we've all heard that restaurateurs are unable to operate at a interior dining capacity above 25%. So what we have done is work closely with city staff, with the merchants in our district, to create a plan that will allow a significant expansion of dining capacity outside the business. This isn't really anything fancy. It's just creating additional space that is spaced according to, that allows seating to be spaced out according to CDC guidelines, providing as much shade and cover as we possibly can to make it an enjoyable experience and a welcoming experience, and funding that program. So our hope was today that we would be installing tents, tables, umbrellas, and chairs in the public spaces, in some public spaces in downtown. Unfortunately, the weather, particularly the wind, got the better of us, so that's delayed until tomorrow. And I'll talk about the dining on the spot program, I think, in a follow-up slide. Phase 3 of Clematis construction, you are all probably aware that the streetscape has been going along now for a couple of years, a couple of spring seasons. It's well underway in the 500 block, and as I understand, ahead of schedule. What I do want to say about the streetscape is, as we talk about resilience and the ability of our city to adapt and respond to changing needs, we are learning the value of an adaptive design that allows the street to be used in a flexible manner. That's a big part of the ability that we are having to produce this dining on the spot program, is the curbless design of the street. So I just want to give a little plug and kudos to the team that really made that happen, led by Allison in particular. But this is a really, not that we knew this was coming, but we're certainly seeing the value of the design of the streetscape. So look forward to the entire street being done, I think, by August or so, if not sooner, with the 500 block. I think I'm ready for the next slide, Chris, please. So the dining on the spot program that I mentioned, this is a one example, a rendering done here in-house by one of the DDA team members here, Cheryl Moriente, just showing a graphic of what the seating plan would look like on the street. Of course, we would love to take the entire street, but for life safety requirements, make it necessary for us to keep a 15-foot clear space for a fire truck to be able to pass through there, or an ambulance, of course, if we have to respond to an emergency. So the dining area, this allows restaurants to expand their cafe seating, significantly expand it, to accommodate customers in an outdoor space. And what is quite surprising about this is when you grid it out and you put tables where they need to be, it's immediately apparent that spacing tables out basically on 12-foot centers, so there's space between the tables, sucks up a lot of real estate. So we are looking to roll this out as a beginning implementation tomorrow, as I noted, in about 4 or 5 different locations. With next week and the subsequent weeks, we'll be looking at additional locations throughout downtown West Palm Beach. And I think that's it for me. Is there another slide?
The next slide discusses the Northwood Village area. Allison?
Yes, thank you, Raphael. Along with downtown, obviously, we are taking a good look at the rest of the city. Us in particular are looking at our CRA area up north in Northwood Village. This just kind of shows you the space opportunities we had. We've been working very closely with the merchants. As Raphael mentioned, with the downtown program, the merchants in Northwood, on Northwood Road, have opted to start with parklets. So we are going to utilize some of the parking spaces for expanded dining, just as they're doing downtown. Again, unfortunately, the weather today, we were looking to set that up today. We're going to wait till tomorrow again to set up the parklets. But we wanted to take a good look at how different spaces could provide opportunities to expand businesses into the public realm. So we have both public and private lots. The next slide, Chris. So along with Northwood Village, we also have several businesses within the historic Northwest. Queen of Sheba, which is on Sapodilla. We have a couple of businesses on Tamarind as well, and Rosemary. And just have identified some spaces again that as they start to open up, that we can spread out their their space within the public realm or within private lots, maybe lots that the CRA owns, to provide some additional spaces for these restaurants as well. So that's kind of what we're doing within the 2 CRA districts for businesses.
And then when we originally looked at support strategies for restaurants and breaking it into the different areas, we wanted to include other parts of the city that maybe don't have a community redevelopment agency within their boundaries, or a downtown development authority. So that is some of the areas, such as this one on South Dixie Highway, are examples of spaces where private sector folks can take advantage of those same principles that the Downtown Development Authority and CRA are applying in their respective areas. So as you can see, the boxes in yellow identify private sector lots where these are simply opportunities that the city would be open to the private sector, whether they're restaurants or other businesses, if they wanted to utilize in some way, could essentially expand their business operations, whether it's seating or services, in a safe way that complies with the CDC guidelines, the directives from the governor and his executive orders, to allow more customers to be served in a safe and comfortable manner. The red spot is actually one of the city parcels. That's Flamingo Park. That again is another opportunity. Now, we don't have any plans for Flamingo Park at this time, but again, it's another example of a city asset that is in the middle of commerce that could be utilized as a resource, and just identifies an opportunity where the city and private sector could work together to allow for greater business and commerce operations during this difficult time. And then also we have spent a lot of time talking about the different areas and what we plan to do, but there are so many other aspects of expanded seating and operations for businesses that go into what we're trying to do. So we are trying, again, giving as many tools and guidance to the private sector and restaurants and retailers as possible. And these include things like developing a formal permitting process. So then that just allows the city to understand and help businesses and guide them along the way to understand what folks are doing out and throughout the city. Second is essentially a messaging kit, because there will be messaging that needs to occur within a business, whether it's their employees or the city to business and things like that, that explains the safe way to implement a lot of these guidelines. And then secondly, once the spaces are established, giving the right information from the CDC and again, the state of Florida and other entities that are helping guide us out of the pandemic on how to act and manage those spaces, so that when customers show up, they know that it's a safe space, and they know that it has some type of cleaning strategy and other ways that that help manage and make sure that the space remains safe. And then lastly, the enforcement aspect of it, and this is something that the city is taking very seriously. And we have coordination with our fire department and with the police department to make sure that all of these things are in fact enforced in an appropriate manner. The city administration has made it clear that enforcement will be taken very seriously. And again, that's just to ensure everybody's safety, so where we can do the delicate balance of allowing businesses to open up, but at the same time, making sure that the residents and visitors that are going to these spaces and supporting local businesses are doing it in a very safe manner. We have thought about, as the pandemic continues to unwind and businesses further opening out, how we manage these spaces and sort of exit into the normal operations of our businesses, but then also what we may need to do if some of these spaces don't work, and for whatever reason we do have to end the projects, and we are prepared to do that as well. So a lot of planning and thought has gone into these support strategies to help local businesses. Commissioner?
Thank you for that, Chris, and thank you to everybody on the team. I think you can see there's been a number of things that have been happening in the city of West Palm Beach to try to support our businesses. We want to set our businesses up for success. Two other things that I wanted to mention for citywide, for commercial account holders of sanitation, there is a program to limit or suspend your sanitation accounts. You can email publicworks@wpb.org. As well as downtown businesses that have monthly parking passes. Many of you may have seen that those have been suspended temporarily while businesses are closed too. So we're really, really focused on making sure that our West Palm Beach businesses are successful, and thanks to all who are involved in getting that effort off the ground. So now I want to get to your questions. You know, what do you have questions about? And we'll open the floor to getting some answers for you.
Hi, Commissioner and panel. We have some great questions coming in, and thank you for all that information. Our first question is asking if, there's actually a few questions asking to clarify if the Small Business Relief Program is a loan or a grant.
Sure, the West Palm Beach program is a loan program. So the program that Chris talked about is the West Palm Beach Recovery Program. It is a loan. It is an interest-only loan for the first year with a low rate after that first year. So loan program on recovery.
Thank you. Our next question is asking if it's too late to apply for the small business loan.
I'll let Chris speak to a little bit of our program and the opportunities that still exist for businesses to apply.
So currently the program does still have funding available, and we're seeing about a third of the applications that have come in, unfortunately, having to be denied in some way. So because of those two things, we are still accepting applications, so it is not too late. However, we do have several more applications that we're currently reviewing. So don't hesitate, definitely get that application in as soon as you can.
Thank you. Another question regarding the program. What is the interest rate on the $5,000 to $10,000 loans?
The interest rate is a fixed rate at 3.25%. So that's 3.25% over a 5-year period. The first year of the loan is interest only. So we're not requiring any principal repayment of the loan until the second year. And so it comes out to be a pretty nominal amount. And the reason we structured it that way is because we do want to at least know that the business is able to make a very small interest payment, so that we just know that they are still functioning and everything is they're recovering as best they can.
One thing too I want to mention about this particular program, this has been an example of a great partnership. We've had contributions from various departments within the city of West Palm Beach to fund this program, as well as from the Downtown Development Authority and the Community Redevelopment Agency, to all really come together and provide as much funding for our West Palm Beach small businesses as we can. So it's been a really great partnership and a great program to get real dollars in the hands of our businesses that really, really need them. So thanks to everyone involved in that as well.
Thank you. Our next question is regarding, or they're asking, what is the city doing to help people who may have lost their jobs?
That's a really great question. And the CR unit was developed so that each one of us can really focus on different facets of COVID recovery. And one of the other programs that we provide is the rental assistance eviction protection program. So the city does provide assistance to those who qualify, and those again can be found on the COVID website, WPB.org/COVID-19, to apply for that program, as well as various assistance along the way. We are helping residents apply for unemployment. We are providing opportunities to get meals and groceries for those that need them too. So there's a number of different opportunities that anyone can avail themselves of, and so many with the details. You can feel free to reach out to me individually, and I'm happy to direct that. But also that information is really available at your fingertips to the website, WPB.org/COVID-19.
Thank you. And at this time, we're going to remove the display on the screen so that folks can see the panelists. Our next question is asking if the trolleys are still running.
I'm going to take this one over to Raphael at the DDA. DDA does a great amount of funding along with the CRA on the trolley. So Raphael, Allison, either one of you, if you want to take a stab at it, Raphael, and Allison, if you need to chime in as well.
Yeah, sure. And the trolleys are not running now, and trolley operations were suspended several weeks ago for two reasons. One, ridership was very, very low. And rather than spend the money on operating trolleys, we thought it would be best to reallocate those funds to uses that could support recovery or resilience through this process. And also, naturally having people in close quarters, especially early on during this pandemic when we really didn't quite understand what needed to be done to keep people safe, we felt that operating trolleys, continuing operation, would be irresponsible. So they were stopped at that time. And we're working on determining a date to restart them.
Thank you. Our next question is from Zoom, and it's turning back to the loan program. Is that loan forgivable at any point?
Chris, you want to go ahead and take this question?
Sure. Currently, it is not a forgivable loan. The way that we have structured the agreement with and the way that we have set it up, there is not a mechanism for forgiveness. However, I will say that inside City Hall, because the first task was to get a mechanism for funding up quickly. And this was the quickest way to get it up, was to get the loan program established. However, it's always been intended to be revisited and address other ways that the city could be helpful to our small businesses. And that is one thing that we're continually discussing. But right now, with everything else that's going on, we just haven't had a moment to address that aspect of the loan.
Thank you. Our next viewer asks, what is the process or the enforcement to ensure that customers and workers wear masks when they go to local restaurants?
This is a really great question, and I'm going to chime in, and I can have anyone chime in on this as well. We're really focused, number one priority, on safety in the city of West Palm Beach. And as Chris mentioned, the mayor has made it very clear that this will be policed carefully. The Dining on the Spot program is really created to set the tone for what dining post-COVID-19 will look like. So when you think dining on the spot, you think regular cleanliness procedures, you think wearing masks, you think social distancing. And so in many of the areas that we're implementing these phase ones, we have security ambassadors that will be out on the street, making sure that they are making contact with visitors to our city and citizens just out getting a bite to eat, et cetera, to try to make sure that they're aware of social distancing measures and safety measures like wearing masks, et cetera. So we're going to be out on the streets trying to really make sure that everyone is aware. There will be a lot of signage that you will see within the city everywhere. And we're currently preparing a marketing packet for the restaurants as well that will provide them with what those best practices from the CDC look like. So, you know, it's a lot like a lot of other areas in our city where we're all going to have to work together at this. But I can guarantee you from the city of West Palm Beach, safety is the number one priority. Rafael, did you want to jump in on that too?
Yes, Commissioner Shoaf, I would like to add to that. Yeah, everything you said is exactly our intention, and that was the driving force behind delineating space very specifically with the Dining on the Spot program. And, you know, understanding also that the restaurateurs and businesses, retailers that are reopening their doors right now are all very conscious of the need for people, their staff, and for their customers to all go by the rules. In fact, just today, we have these great masks that have been made, logoed up. Am I showing you the right side? There we go. With Downtown WPB, we work with Zidell's, or a custom yachting equipment and clothing company on 6th Street here in downtown. They custom made these masks in-house for us. We're handing them out to as many merchants as we can that are reopening, so they and their owners and staff can have them, so the public understands that they're taking every precaution. I'm also working on having a plan created for sanitizing surfaces and cleaning areas where dining will happen. And it could even be applied to other spaces like parking garage, stairwells, et cetera, by a professional consultant who is certified in medical grade sanitizing and cleaning. And I hope to have that plan in hand by Monday. And that will be open source to anyone who wishes to use it, whether that's in your business or otherwise. We are eager to share that through our website or online. But I think really an important point to make here is that we can do everything in our power on the public side and on the business and merchant side to create a program and go by the rules and encourage people. But it is going to come down very much so to the cooperation and compliance of the public that wants to come down and patronize businesses. You're part of the team, if you will. And I know probably most people on this call are business people, but if you'll spread this message that we are all in this together. We've heard that repeatedly, but we really are, especially in this plan to reopen. And having everyone play by the same rule book is essential to the success of getting our business community back up and running again.
I also want to mention in that too, in our communication with a lot of the business owners, while this is phase one for Palm Beach County, we're fortunate to have business owners that have businesses across the state and sometimes across the country who have already had some of these experiences on reopening. And one of the things that they are voluntarily doing is designating one of their employees as their own COVID response employee to kind of internally monitor the COVID parameters and making sure that there's hand sanitation, that there's, adequate cleanup, that there are masks, et cetera, being worn. So I think Rafael is absolutely 100% correct. We need everybody together on this, and we're going to do our best to make sure that from this program perspective, we set everybody up for that kind of success. Thank you. That was a great question.
Thank you. Our next question is from Michaela on Facebook. Michaela asks, Queen of Sheba is a wonderful restaurant that serves our community. Is there anything that can be done to increase safety around that area?
Hey, Michaela, that's a great question. And Queen of Sheba is one of my personal favorites. Love it over there. And we're really looking forward to them getting reopened as well. You know, one of the things that's been a real focus of mine, as well as, you know, my colleagues on the commission, is safety throughout all areas of our city. I've actually walked the street over there with Police Chief Adderley. He is hyper focused on making sure that we address that area and make sure that patrons feel safe, because the Queen of Sheba is the kind of business that we want to see in all areas of our city. You know, local proprietors serving great food and a great atmosphere. And I know the CRA has been extremely supportive in helping businesses like Queen of Sheba and Queen of Sheba itself in being successful. Allison, did you want to jump in with other?
Yeah, I would like to add, and I don't want to derail off of the topic, but you know, just so that everybody on this call knows, there is a great deal of work that's being done in the historic Northwest right now. If you go over to 7th Street, you'll barely be able to get down to Queen of Sheba right at this moment, because 7th Street is under construction. We're constructing a new passageway behind Queen of Sheba, expanding their space, creating some new businesses around there. The CRA owns a property across the street where we're going to have another restaurant at some point, as well as the new Heart and Soul Park and the Sunset Lounge at 7th and 8th. So as with your question, it is of utmost importance that we increase safety in that area and the economic viability of that area as well.
And Allison, if you would too, I know, just to make sure everyone on this call is aware, the CRA recently purchased a building down there that had typically been, a place of criminal activity. And so that's part of what the CRA does too, is look at the entirety of the neighborhood and make sure to address places that could, maybe it's not, you know, you've done a ton of work with Queen of Sheba directly and other businesses in the area, but if it's something that is as a whole causing the area to be less viable, the CRA addresses issues like that as well.
Thank you. One of our viewers asked if they are eligible for the city's loan if they have already received the Paycheck Protection Program loan.
Chris, I'll let you go ahead and take that.
Yes, the city's loan program does not preclude you from participating in any other program. And in fact, we want to encourage that. We want you to chase all of the resources and go after those resources to the best of your ability as much as possible, because we know that the damage from the pandemic it hurts, and every dollar out there matters to our local economy and our local businesses. So if by all means, if you've applied for the PPP program, great. Please, you know, and you need the dollars from the city of West Palm Beach for our loan program, by all means, apply for ours as well. We will not in any way penalize you for getting resources from other places, because we're assuming that businesses that have applied for all of these resources are applying because they need it. Nobody's out there doing it just because they don't have anything to do.
Every dollar counts. Every dollar counts.
Thank you. Staying on the subject of the loan, if one were to qualify for the loan, are they required to use those dollars for specific purposes?
We have asked businesses to identify how they would use those dollars, and they fall into general buckets such as rent, payroll, refurbishment of signage, because we know signage can matter a whole lot, retooling business plans, and I think there's a couple of other categories I may be missing, but generally one of the uses of funds will fall into one of those categories. And so once, and that's just basically for our own data collection. Once we have that and we understand how those dollars are going to be used, we're going to issue you the loan. And we assume that based on the information you provided to the city, those loan dollars are going to be used for those purposes.
Thank you. That was very helpful. And we're getting a lot of questions. We're going to do our best to run through as many as possible on this program.
Great.
And we'll avail a line to call and an email address at the end of this if you'd like to submit additional questions. Our next question is from Zoom. And the viewer asks, for the Dining on the Spot program or other recovery programs, where can people send suggestions from businesses or the public about roads that might benefit from road closures, wider walkways, or designated parcel pickup areas?
That's a really great question. And, I guess I'll let the team respond to say where we think the best place for those suggestions to be pulled. Raphael, you're unmuted. Looks like you have a comment.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great, that would be a great resource for us because we are learning as we go for sure. In fact, we're doing some pre-planning today, as I mentioned earlier on this conference session, that we intended to start installation today, but decided to wait until tomorrow for weather concerns. So yeah, we would love to hear from the community, whether that's the business community or the public and patrons, where to send that information. That's a good question. Why don't I suggest that we powwow, and then I'm going to rely on the team managing this call that we can find a way that we could put that out there to the community. Because I think this will probably come from a pretty wide audience.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that it goes to citywide, because this program is intended for, everything from a business in the Northwest, North End, South End, downtown to, strip malls that are in our more Western communities. So make sure we capture that too. Chris, did you have some ideas on that too?
Well, I was just, there's so many touch points where you could do the intake. Generally it starts with our development services department. So I think that, for the time being, that might be a place, but I agree with you, Commissioner. We probably need to powwow and maybe come up with a central place for folks to submit comments for improvement.
Let's get somewhere that's more central for the caller that has, clearly someone has a suggestion. You can feel free to send it to me, kshoaf@wpb.org. We will get something more general. I think that's a great idea for us to look at on a larger scale, but it sounds like there is a suggestion at hand, so I want to make sure to get that. So if we can implement that quickly, I'd be happy to do that. So kshoaf@wpb.org. Send it along, please.
Thank you. Staying on the subject of the spot, another question asks, will the police force and the city relax the enforcement of the open container ordinances throughout the implementation of the spot initiative while customers are consuming alcohol on Clematis or Datura?
Well,
so Raphael, if you want to take that, I know you've been working, or Chris, whoever.
I'll start by saying that within the areas that are designated as dining on the spot areas, whether that's Datura Street in the 100 block or in front of Pistache or the 200 block of Clematis or others, within those areas, restaurants that are, if they're already allowed to serve liquor, beer, wine, whatever they're allowed to serve on a regular, under regular circumstances, and they're providing table service, that will be allowed. Now, using the example of the 200 block, being that that block is going to be closed to motor vehicle traffic, if you're in that block, it's my understanding that you will be allowed to be in the space just as if it were an event space. Now, if you walk out of that zone and you're roaming around with an open container, someone's probably going to ask you to please, finish it or pour it out or go back to that zone. We certainly don't want to encourage a party atmosphere right now, as much as we understand people want to relax and have fun and reconnect and socialize again. That's like, baked into us as human beings. That's what we want to do, is be with each other and have a good time. But we also are very mindful of creating a problem by encouraging people to congregate, party, etc. So right now, if you're in one of these areas that's designated, yes, open containers allowed. It may be relaxed to allow people to go to the Mire or the waterfront. My personal opinion, I think that's reasonable, but that's again, that is a policy call by our law enforcement community and by the leadership of the city.
I'm just going to chime in there real quick, Chris, beforehand, and just make sure that we're clear on that. It may come to a second phase, but I want to be very clear about the safety. We've extended the dining premises out to these areas that are designated. So please refrain from taking a beverage down to the waterfront, from doing any of those things. Though we want to make sure that everybody is safe, and that will be one of the ways that you can help us do that. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. Designated areas where, it's been determined that is the place to consume products. And in addition to that, for those areas that are outside of the downtown and Northwood Village, that's where the city's messaging kit, I think, will go a long way to helping businesses provide that signage that says, okay, here is our designated outdoor seating area, and this is where you won't be penalized or asked to, pour out your drink or whatever it may be, because it is a designated spot.
We're definitely working through this program. I think we have a good base for a program and something that has been rolled out incredibly quickly to make sure that we are being proactive to everything that's coming out instead of reactive. And we will certainly look at how the spaces are being used and how consumers are looking to use the spaces while still creating to make sure that we have safe environments for everybody too. So, welcome to all of those suggestions that will be coming in, and we'll certainly take a look at those things as they come. Everything is changing quickly and will continue to change, and we will continue to adapt as the governor's orders come out and different phases of reopening occur to just make sure that we are giving the maximum benefit to every business within the entire city. So that was a really good question as well.
Thank you all. Claudia on Facebook asks, is the city still ticketing at meters downtown?
Hi, Claudia. Thank you very much for that question. I want to make sure I clarify from earlier, we were talking about monthly parking passes where parking had been suspended. I will kick it over to Chris. He looks like he's unmuted and has some more information just to clarify on that.
The answer is yes. Parking enforcement is still occurring downtown.
So that's both for meters and for garages are still, you get a ticket, you pay on your way out.
That is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We received a question on Zoom asking, if we see business owners or others not complying with common sense safety measures, what should we do? Who should we call?
That's a really, really important thing to note here as well. The city has a regular hotline of 822-2222, which you can call at any time for this and any other issue that's occurring within any part of the city to be directed to the proper entity. So 561-822-2222 is the proper place. If at all possible too, if there's something happening right in front of you, if it's in a restaurant and there's someone there within that restaurant that can be helpful, certainly use that avenue, because again, safety is the number one priority here. And so if it can be handled at whatever location that you're at, please handle with that proprietor. If it needs to extend out to the city, please by all means do. 561-822-2222.
Thank you. We received this question on both email and in Zoom. Is City Hall open again, or is it still appointment only if I want to come for business?
At current, City Hall is still open appointment only. So you can access City Hall, development services, submitting for permits, all has an outside table with hands-free drop. The mayor at last Monday's commission work session started to have a discussion about departments preparing a plan for reopening, but at current, it's still appointment only.
Thank you. A question was asked earlier regarding unemployment assistance and job opportunities. Michael from CareerSource tuned into Zoom to offer somewhat of a PSA and said there are available jobs in our community. And if folks would like to visit careersourcepbc.com, they can do so. Again, that's www.careersourcepbc.com. We received several questions running through this program where viewers asked if we could repeat various contact information for the program and services that are available in the city. Commissioner, if you can guide us through a round robin of sorts to get that information from each of the respective panelists, we'd appreciate that.
Sure, we can. And I'm going to start with Chris Rug, and he'll provide information. I think he also had a comment regarding jobs, et cetera. And thank you to Career Source for providing that information too. They're an excellent resource and really, really fantastic at helping to connect our citizens to job opportunities. Chris, do you want to weigh in on that and then give us contact information for economic development as well?
Sure. And yes, that was Michael Corbett over at Career Source, and they are doing a bang up job. As you can tell, Michael's staying on top of everything that he can because he understands just, the impact that this is having on our workers in the county. So, and they are a tremendous resource. I mean, they are a great place for reemployment. So definitely touch base with Michael and his team over at Career Source, because if you are looking for work or need help with reemployment, they are a tremendous resource that can help you. So just to go back to general information, if anybody that has any questions or needs further information on the aspects that I covered today, I can be reached at crug@wpb.org, but also visit the city's COVID webpage. That's wpb.org, and then on the homepage you'll see the COVID-19 button. Click on that. It'll get you all the resources that you need relative to whether they're business information, the shops program, the retail promotion, all of the things that I covered here today, as well as the loan program, and contacts with the Small Business Development Center down at FAU. All of it is listed there. But if all else fails, shoot me an email and I'll be happy to help you.
Thanks, Chris. Rafa, go ahead, Allison.
So for the CRA, you can contact the CRA at cra@wpb.org. That's the general CRA email. If you've got questions about the loan program, about business, we'll direct you to the right project manager, to myself. Also, wpb.org/CRA is the website that has the application for the grant program. Also, just real quick to touch on the jobs, Cityside Suites at 3rd and Rosemary is offering assistance if you know of anyone that is looking for skilled labor. We do have some streetscape projects going on. We just started the Banyan streetscape last week. Their subcontractors are looking for laborers, so they do have applications at that location, at Cityside Suites, if anybody would like an application of that. Also, you can email me as well, again at the CRA@wpb.org, if you are looking for an application for that type of labor. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Raphael, if you could give your contact.
You can reach me at the Downtown Development Authority office. Our phone number here is 561-833-8873. Or you can email me at rclemente, that's RCLEMENTE @downtownwpb.com. I do want to back up a little bit and rewind. I misspoke earlier about the webinar. My staff was texting me furiously that I got it wrong. It is actually on Wednesday, the 20th of this month at 2 o'clock p.m. And the information and webinar details you can find at downtownwpb.com or on our social media as well. And any other program that we're offering, our fund that is supporting the loan program is all through the city's website. The coffee hour is another program we're offering in conjunction with 1909, the startup and entrepreneurial co-working space here on Datura Street. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. It is a business mentoring and I'll call it adaptation to current operating procedures program with some of the best in the business, all locals here that can advise you as a business person on how to pivot and change to be responsive to the conditions you're operating under now. And other than that, feel free to call me or email me and I would be more than happy to help you.
Thank you so much. And thank you all. You've been excellent panelists today. Thanks for all the information that you've provided. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're coming to the end of our hour, but before I close up here, there are a couple of updates that I wanted to share. First, please be sure to complete your census. The information collected from the census helps West Palm Beach and Palm Beach County to continue to provide these types of programs and resources that are helpful in our community. So really, really important that you complete that. And I want to say thanks to all who watched and participated, asked questions during these town halls. It's really important that we get to hear feedback from you. If you missed any one of them, you can find them on the city's website or the Facebook page or YouTube channel. Go to www.wpb.org/COVID for more information. And keeping you informed and hot off the presses, the Palm Beach Post has informed me that the governor has now announced that retailers and restaurants can double their capacity. So we're changing every moment, and fitness buffs can return to the gyms on Monday. So all upcoming things, we're entering into these phases of reopening, and we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that we continue our messaging of wearing masks in public, following the CDC guidelines for 6 feet of distance, washing your hands, and not congregating in groups. So please be smart, be safe, most of all, be healthy, and we really will work through this together. So thanks to all of you, and enjoy your weekend. We'll see you soon.